Hello, anybody, somebody, nobody, whoever may never see the Siegfried Alexander Faust, the Whiff. Come at you with a quick little podcast about comics. There's 30 comic events or details that have just been on my mind that I think are funny or interesting and cool to talk about. I was hoping to have a couple people join me. I have one that might come back, one that might leave, a buddy here, Joe. And I was just going to kind of rant, and if anybody was going to just pipe up, that's free to, pipe up. But yeah, so without further ado, it's like 30 things I'm going to talk about. Some of these are going to be more detailed than others. Since I do have someone here, I'll probably just ask you, Joe, if you know about this thing or not. So starting off the list, do you know about Dexter, the Red Lantern Cat?
I've seen pictures of him, but I've never, I don't know anything about him history-wise.
Yeah, so Red Lantern's part of the DC comic of the emotional spectrum, the LGBTQ light people. So Red is Rage. They have a really cool Red Lantern oath, but his story is pretty sad. So I'm just gonna go right off the wiki because they have it pretty summed up here. It's pretty cool. So Dexter was originally a single woman's cat named Dexter, whom he loved very much as she loved him. One day, someone broke in the home, and although he attacked the intruder as a cat and he clawed them, he couldn't really stop them. His owner was brutally murdered in front of him, and the police arrived and thought he was a stray and kicked him out of the house and area and beat him up and said scram, as they didn't want to deal with some stray feline ruining the crime scene. As he found a place to sleep, sad and alone, two small kids found him, beat him up further, and shoved him into a fucking sack, tied it up, and threw him in the river to drown for shits and giggles. Feeling the rage and sorrow in his heart,
God damn!
Atrocitus, the Red Lantern leader, called out to the cat, making him the Red Lantern Dexter instead of Dexter, with using the ring to exact revenge, killing the two men who placed him in the sack before attempting to throw him into the river, and traveling back to his late owner's apartment to cuddle by her lifeless body and crying, and says, with his newfound voice, "I will find who hurt you. I kill. I good kitty." Most of the Red Lanterns their stories are like tragic, and they're betrayed, either backstabbed by someone they trusted, or the one they loved was murdered. That's like, kind of basic bitch, but it gets the point across for most of their fucking backstories. And so most of them are like, goddamn in general. But yeah, that's Dexter, and it kind of hits different when it's a cat. And he's not like super crazy in the comics, and he's not a super powerhouse either. He has his moments in the limelight, but honestly, he's just a random, generic lantern. But it's just a sad little side character that doesn't really get talked about. And they are filled with rage.
How does he hold the ring?
Huh?
How does he hold the ring? Is it like a collar?
It's on his paw. Last I checked.
Is it like a ring on his paw, or is it like around his wrist? Like a bracelet?
Oh no! It's around his wrist as a bracelet. I see it now. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So here, if you want, I'm gonna stream some stuff every now and again. So here is So there's Dexter, and you can see on his hands it's a bracelet. But it's however he wants to do it. The ring can kind of change shape. Oh wait, no, it's on his tail. That's what it was. The ring is at the end of his tail. Do you see it? Joe? Anyway, moving on to the next character or thing I wanted to talk about is the Creeper, or how I like him and how he identifies as himself is Yellow-Skinned Wacky Man. So, Yellow-Skinned Wacky Man is technically a DC superhero in the Justice League. And he's kind of stupid. Well, he's mega stupid. But more so, it upsets me in the animated series of JLU, Justice League Unlimited, for his portrayal. So, was it Jack Ryder? Yeah, Jack Ryder, Dude, Experiment, kind of gets jokerized, but instead he becomes like a wacky good guy, an insane good guy. But he's kind of a fucking creeper, and he just takes the name and says sure, and runs with it. He fights with Batman, and he even joins the Justice League. At one point in the newer comics, he was a villain, and he's like possessed or by a demon or some shit. That shit's dumb. And so that is not the case. But yeah, the dude literally is an insane man who wears like a spandex fucking little condom suit, yet bleached yellow skin, green hair like the Joker, and has a bunch of red on him, and just runs around almost naked. But he has enhanced abilities: sight, smell, hearing, strength, speed, just slightly. So he's above average. So he's slightly superhuman, and he basically just steals the Joker's turf and shits on him. And I just think it's hilarious. But the thing is again, he's in the Justice League. This dude is like a straight up like peeping Tom, and like how is he in the Justice League? The dude's got problems. He's not good in the head. Like none of it makes sense to me. And they call me Yellow Skinned Wacky Man. And if anybody sees this, you can just YouTube type that and he'll come up. Dude's so weird. Next is Snowflame and Codpiece. I doubt you've ever heard of those two, Joe. But let me read Codpiece.
I haven't heard them at all.
Yeah, so they're awesome. So both of them are in DC as old comic people. So Codpiece is a Doom Patrol villain. You love your Doom Patrol. He was told in high school that he wasn't big enough, but the girl who told him that was talking about his height. He thought she meant his dick, and so because of inferiority complex, let me. Oh wait, no, you can see it. Yeah. So yeah, there's.
No, I can't see if I switch it. Switches me from this channel to another.
Oh, if you view my stream.
Yeah, I viewed it, but then it kicked me off of the PlayStation 5 chat.
Oh, that's dumb. All right, hold on. Let me just put the mic by my dog. Hopefully she doesn't kick it. Then I will no longer stream. Instead, let me just. So there's Codpiece. He's got a big ass dick gun, and so he would hold up. Yeah, see, he's got a cock gun, and he's like, "I've got the biggest weapon of them all," and like, and people can't take him seriously, or they would explode his gun, so like throw a batarang at it and just blows up his nuts. So he would hold people up at gunpoint. He just his dick in their face. I'll do it. And then Snowflame. Snowflame is another interesting character that is no longer in the comics. I love his motto. Snowflame is the drug-powered supervillain who fought the New Guardians. Oh god, where's his... There it is. I am Snowflame. Every cell of my being burns with white-hot ecstasy. Cocaine is my god, and I am the human instrument of its will. So, I don't remember how or why, but as this dude does more and more coke and just gets coked out of his mind, he gains, like, fire powers. And so he's like a white supremacist who also has, like, a white flame.
That's weird.
I am Snowflame. And so he just loves coke. Yeah, so, he's not really talked about anymore. Neither is Codpiece. I just love their concept. They're just so silly. Squirrel Girl. I'm sure you've heard of this chick.
Yeah, I've heard of Squirrel Girl.
Okay.
How she beat, what's his name? Not Magneto,
She beat Dr. Doom, and,
yeah.
one of the things I was gonna... Damn, I probably told you that, actually, but here is...
You might have.
This fun image of her just throwing squirrel after squirrel on him, and he's like, get him off! And, to the point where she invades his country to use his technology to kick out Deadpool from her base because he won't stop watching porn and just masturbating on the couch, and they don't know how to get rid of Deadpool. And so she steals his time displacement technology, his time traveling shit. And as soon as he sees her, he's like, "Oh yeah, you can just go do whatever. I'm not gonna deal with you," because she's just more trouble than she's worth. She's just annoying. She beat Wolverine in a fist fight because he would just get tired because of her squirrel fu, her kung fu with squirrel. She's based on a writer's ex. She says that Wolverine, when his claws pop out, they don't actually make any sound at all. He just goes like swing, swing when his claws come out because he likes to say that noise. So whenever you hear Wolverine's claws make any noise, that's just him making the noise itself. Yeah, and she has a bunch of weird-ass accomplishments, but she's just very fucking cringe. She was gonna get her own actual, I think animated TV show or live-action TV show or movie.
I think it was live action.
Yeah, but I think it got canceled. I don't know. Mega cringe, though, because she really doesn't matter. But that would have been funny. Let's see. Powering right through. So, a mutant, because there's so many mutants. I always talk about how for Marvel, it's X-Men, and for DC, it's Green Lanterns, on how there's just so much lore and shit. If you just stick with those, it's like its own fucking massive beast of comics. So, it's like, oh, you never heard of this mutant? Like, motherfucker, there's like thousands of them. So, there's a mutant called Forget-Me-Not, who is almost more powerful than Charles Xavier in how his power works, and it's pretty funny. Forget-Me-Not is like, okay, Joe, do you remember the Rick and Morty episode where, I don't remember how it got to this point, but like Morty is like aged up, and he's like in his 40s, and they revisit the Citadel, and he's like all cantankerous and old, so they like cut him in half and make a younger version or some shit, and they find it, and that's...
Yeah.
Okay, so, you remember how the old Morty looked? Like when he's in his 40s? Okay, so that's how this dude looks. He's like a fat, beer-drinking, beer-belly, white dude, balding kinda-ish. Sometimes they give him hair. And that's just Forget-Me-Not. He kinda lives on the premises. Kinda doesn't sometimes, because it's not safe for him to live with the other mutants. His power... passively at all times makes everyone and everything believe he doesn't exist and never has. If someone looks... So if someone looks at him, they see him. It's the Doctor Who, Soundless or whatever, Nameless? It's a, like, weird-ass gray matter aliens that once you look away, you forget they exist. So, that was in Doctor Who. Forget-Me-Not, as soon as you look away, you don't know he exists anymore. You literally forget him. So anyone he's ever known doesn't even know he exists. His parents don't know he exists. No one knows he's even real. When he's on...
That sounds like a creepypasta thing that came out.
Yeah, but he toughs it through like a champ. But it's just kind of funny, because his story is that in most of the big X-Men battles and Marvel battles, he's fucking there. But no one knows he's there. He's helping, but no one knows he's there. Because they forget about him. And so, he's like this unsung hero that they just give him a gun and he just goes around shooting. And he kind of is okay and pretty safe because nothing really registers he even exists. Even machines, if they target him, like, if they didn't see him before, they don't know he's there. They don't stay perfectly on him. And then, if anything distracts them, they forget it exists. Even machines. Like, everything in the universe, if it doesn't stay fixed on him, they don't know exists. So Charles Xavier has to use, like, large amounts of his ability to remember that this dude is real. And he's a friend. Because otherwise he doesn't even know who he is. It's just like this beer-drinking, overweight, chill dude who's just a mutant that nobody can remember. And just hangs out around there. But it's pretty lonely. But yeah, I thought that was like pretty crazy and sad, but interesting. Now we get
I
to.
think it's really interesting that he's a hero.
Yeah.
Because he could just fuck with people and start stealing.
Oh yeah, for sure. It'd be so easy. Um, this one, I will ask you to, if you can, it's gonna be worth it for you. Actually, god damn it, because I can't send this to you because I had to pull up as a comic. But let me give you some details first. So, in brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. For all who worship evils might beware my power. Green Lantern's light. That's the motto, the oath for Green Lantern, so they can charge up their willpower rings. There's one for each branch/ring spectrum color. Well, in the blackest night, that's not just a thing. It's an event that actually happens, and so that's when the emotional spectrum version of death, not the aspect of death, because death in DC is actually this wonderful, sweet girl. She appears in the Netflix series of Sandman as one of the Endless. Mistress Death is actually not nearly as chill and awesome as Lady Death in DC. She's so sweet. But this dude, his name is Necron, and not like 40k Necrons. This dude is like this edgy Skeletor motherfucker with a scythe. And he is, whenever anyone thinks about death, or is like upset, or channels death, it goes into him. So he's like that representation. And in this big event of the War of Light, of all the rings, it's literally all emotions versus black, which is death. It's either we will survive or we will fall.
The black one.
Yeah, right? Or we will fall. And guess what? White is life, and white beats black. Into the ground! No, and so, it's funny because, the black rings can take over corpses. So Aquaman, Batman, all these different people become Black Lanterns. They can even take over live people and turn them into zombies. And so you have these black rings just destroying the universe, taking every superhero and supervillain and making them now zombie lanterns. And so...
Aren't they basically zombie slaves?
Yeah. But they're intelligent. And
yeah,
they have...
that's what I'm saying, slaves.
Yeah. And they have these superpowers now, if they didn't already, but they also have Black Lantern powers. And so, they're fucking people up, and there's very few Ring Lanterns left fighting. It's the climax, we're fucked. And so, one of the Owens, one of the blue midget space people, they activate, I think it was Gallant, or Galleth, he activates a sub-protocol, which makes all the emotional rings, each color, get an additional spare as an emergency precaution. And so you have Wonder Woman become a purple lantern. The Flash becomes a blue lantern. Lex Luthor becomes an orange lantern. Mira, the Queen of Atlantis, becomes a red lantern. And Scarecrow becomes a yellow lantern. Now,
Yeah, I can see that.
the focus of what I want to say, which yellow is fear, Scarecrow fear, that's why I agree, yeah. As soon as I tell you that, it's like, yeah, I can see that. Everyone can see that. But this is where it gets interesting. So, this group of misfits, heroes and villains, charged with emotional fucking puberty emotions and fighting for survival of everything in the universe, with this LGBTQ rainbow powers, fighting against the darkness of evil Skeletor. They're all charging their, using their superpowers, charging their rings, making laser blasts. Scarecrow makes flying fucking monkeys from the Wizard of Oz, and he goes, "Go, my monkeys, go!" He throws them at the Grim Reaper.
Maybe he's scared of monkeys, you don't know.
Yeah, but...
You don't know the Grim Reaper's life.
It's such a small thing, so here, I'll toggle over in case you want to see it. Where's the, I'll zoom in.
I can't see anything unless I switch channels.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, if you wanted to check it out or not.
Oh, okay.
This shit is just too funny. At least to me. It's a very serious moment. And then this motherfucker here, out here, he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll make flying monkeys. This dude is charged to make as much fear as possible. How do you scare Grim Reaper Man? Simple. Flying monkeys with, what are those fucking things called? God damn it, Doctor Who. Fezzes. Fezzes on their heads. Because that's how you instill fear.
That'd be terrifying, flying monkey coming at me. But I'm not the entity of death, so...
Yeah. But man, that's all kinds of kooky. Let's see, almost a third done. Wonder Woman owns a pet kangaroo known as Jumpa. He almost never appears in any comics, even most of the DC animal stuff. I think they only introduced him more recently, or her recently, I don't know. I don't know much about Jumpa. After her and Batman were trapped in another dimension fighting creatures for like a whole year to give this dude a one-day break from an eternal battle of eternity. And for that one day on Earth, it's a whole year of them together just fighting. And they're randomly sitting at a campfire, and she just randomly says, like, I have a kangaroo. His name is Jumpa. And Batman's like, what? Like, we've known each other for like a decade or 2 decades. You've never mentioned you have a pet kangaroo. Where is this dude? She's like, you never asked. And so, it just randomly drops the kangaroo. Wonder Woman has a pet kangaroo. Wonderoo. Now this one...
Has it ever been shown?
Before then, I don't think so. So I think
How do you know she's just making it up?
Well, yeah. Well, afterwards, Jumpa, I believe, has been shown since then in a kid animated thing. So for the sake of that comment, it might as well have been made up, but now it's canon.
Oh, okay.
The Slay Terra / Dr. Light controversies. I threw them in here together because they have a common theme, but they're not exactly similar. Do you know the Slay Terra controversy when it comes to IRL morals?
He did it with a girl that was 16 and he was like...
Yeah, so underage for American laws. Spoiler for anyone who watches this in America, you might lose your mind, but the age of consent is less than 18 in some other countries, and that is seen as reasonable. In some countries, 18 is too young and seen as unreasonable. So pick whatever hill you're comfortable standing on and stand there. But for comics, the thing is that the character Terra, she seduced and was consenting and wanted to have sex with Wade Wilson, aka Slade, aka Deathstroke. And then he said kind of more so, fuck it, and sure. That is, by U.S. standards, right meow, technically statutory rape and pedophilia. Now, this is not the same thing with Dr. Light, but this is a separate controversy, but I just want to talk about them both. So that is a thing of a whole moral ethical thing, but, most people just pick where they've born in what their current active laws are and stand by it. To each their own. The one with Dr. Light is he rapes Elongated Man's wife, I think in the space station for the Justice League or some shit. Somehow he gets up there, and the only thing he does is like, I'm gonna rape this chick. And apparently he's a serial rapist, and he hasn't been in the comics as much because of after that point. But that was also when they did Brother Eye with Batman, and I hate how Brother Eye is like this big thing in the DC universe online, but in the comics it really didn't matter. But it was kind of like the Iron Man protocol, where it's like, let's just have AI Ultron do everything, and then it doesn't work out. Spoilers. But
No.
yeah, why would Skynet be bad? Shocker. But the thing is that what they do, because Elongated Man is so enraged and so traumatized that his wife, unless I'm mistaken, is still alive. I don't think she was murdered. Is that he's gonna go out and fucking murder this man. Is they forcibly wipe his mind. And before they do this, they reveal that they've done this to themselves and each other, be it willingly or unwillingly, as this unwritten pact, kinda, between the prime founders of the Justice League, because they need to continue to be heroes, but some shit they see and deal with is just so fucked that it's gonna waver them from their ideals and what they need to do to be good people, that they can't keep being good people and fighting the good fight, because, you know, they're not perfect. And so, by wiping off the bad memories, it gives them a clean slate. And the thing is that they force this on him and wipe his mind, because they believe until this moment he was a better person. So overall, that's the controversy. Even though it was against his...
Aren't they villains for doing that?
Well, yeah, but it's like, you know, it's like the Joker thing, like, all it takes is one bad day. Before this really traumatized bad moment, elongated man, great guy, blah, 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 blah. But then now, is he just, everything's ruined? You're saying it doesn't count for anything, and now he's going to be bad? Well, what if we just did this one bad thing to him, and now he goes back to being good? It's unfair, it's unreasonable, it's living a lie, but he will continue to have more happy memories, and he'll be a better help to everyone else as well. So the overall, like, uplifting of the universe, of everybody's moods and lives, are going to be better by doing this bad thing. So it's the utilitarian thing. Like, is it better to do it because it's better for everyone, including him, even if it's against his will? So that's what that controversy is. Moving on, Gwenpool. You may have heard of Gwenpool. Gwenpool is... I am not 100% sure. I think she's canon, but I have no idea. So technically, she is not Gwen Stacy. She's not a version of Gwen Stacy either. But she was drawn and shares the likeness of Gwen Stacy as she was supposed to in her original creation. Gwen Stacy is now bought out and owned by Sony or whoever the fuck owns Spider-Man and shit. Maybe Disney. So, I don't know.
I think you're right. It is Sony.
So I know there's like, I think Spider-Man is shared. So, that's the thing now where it's like, okay, what about Gwenpool? Gwenpool has no relation to Deadpool. That's just her fucking name. However, there was a Deadpool ripoff costume that she bought when she visited the world of comics. And so, that's why she looks like a pink and white Deadpool. And her name just happens to be Gwenpool. But, that's just circumstance. She's a ripoff of Gwen Stacy. So, there's controversy to be had there, legalities, because she isn't a Gwen Stacy, but she shares the likeness. So if I was to draw Goku in a very similar fucking way, and say, oh no, this isn't that random character you may know as Goku, this is Gokra. And it's like, bitch, like, that's not gonna hold up in court. So, she is complicated that she shouldn't technically even be, well, I don't want her to be canon, because she's so insane. People love Deadpool and how he breaks the fourth barrier. She annihilates it. So, he is aware, like, he has fourth dimension vision. Like, he can see into the fourth dimension in the sense that he knows that there is more beyond himself, and to some degree, he can tell he is in a story or is a character. As are we all. Gwenpool can literally jump between realities, so she can just jump into comics and jump out. She can go between the folds like Deadpool does, but it's not like Deadpool, he does it not because of a superpower. He's just a comedic character. So it's just kind of the way he's written, and it's just an accepted thing. It's not... He himself can't do that, because he has superpowers. But that's not one of them, because that doesn't make sense. She legit can do that. She can, and it does make sense. So, it's insane. And why is this a big deal? Because imagine this bitch. She just shows up to the MCU, and before, like, in the end of that Spider-Man No Way Home, she could just show up and be like, oh yeah, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Oh, Doctor Strange, he's this one guy. Oh, Batman, his name is Bruce Wayne. She could just jump anywhere, spoil people's secret identity, and for a while she did. She's like, fuck them. And that was like a huge deal in Marvel Civil War, where Spider-Man took off his mask, saying like, "Yeah, we should represent ourselves, so we don't stand above the law. We should work with the law. And my name is Peter Parker. That's my real name." She just like, you have a mask and secret identity to protect your family. Whatever you say, Bruce Wayne. And so she's just going around fucking with people's stuff. She'll just mess with people's stuff in a weird fourth dimensional way by like moving Thor's hammer to another page in the comic. Now it's in like an alternate reality or some shit. Like and anytime people try to gang up on her to stop this like crazy woman of unknown origin, who's very similar in a way to Mr. Mxyzptlk from Superman, she'll just stop existing. She'll just jump back to Earth in her own reality. And so, like, how do you deal with that? She can go through time. She can just get any comic book and just jump in there. And if it is, say, New 52 storyline timeline, then that is when and where she is then. But just because a comic has an event happening in New York, she could jump into the New York page, and then she could just leave. She could go to California, or go to Brazil, Mexico, go to London. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean there's anything gonna happen there. She could just live in this alternate worlds, and so she's insanely broken. And so I don't want her to be canon, but I did some looking into that. I gotta try to speed this up. I'm not even a third of the way through. The Spawn comic ending. If you haven't read Spawn, a lot of people love Spawn. I know we both like Spawn, but I don't think you read the comics necessarily.
I've never read any of the comics. I've only seen the movie, and that's it.
The comic ending is fucking fantastic, where it actually goes into his backstory and explains what his sin was, his actual big one, because what you think has been a lie, and he wiped it from his own memory because he was so guilty. He Hadouken / Falcon Punch aborted his wife's baby. So he was domestically abusing the shit out of her, and they got in an argument, and he just punched her in her fucking prego belly. And so he basically killed his unborn babies. And that's why she left him, and I think she got with his friend, which then he felt betrayed and shit. And heaven and hell eventually do war, but the thing is they're really just two powerful assholes. But then there's like the universe itself, and the universe itself outdates them, and it's kind of seen like this Gaia overarching spirit. And she's like, yeah, they're two of my like creations, / like kids, but they always fight and bicker. And so God is just as much of an asshole as Satan is. And at the end, he's actually more of an asshole, because Satan's like, you know what? Maybe we were wrong about a lot of stuff. Maybe we should reconsider. He's like, bitch, you doubt me? You weak pussy? And then he starts fighting Satan again. And so they're on this alternate Earth now, just starting the war of heaven and hell all over again with nobody there. Them just fighting each other. Because she's like, you two are like two toddlers having a tantrum, and he eats them from Earth. But they just start taking over, possessing people, and literally having a war on Earth. It's crazy. All the while, Spawn is like coming to grips with this reality. The Punisher Max comic line is quite violent. I like it for that because it's a bit more mature, but it kind of became more of a gore fest instead of the hard-hitting story. The very first volume, though, is pretty nuts for how it opens up. I don't remember if it opens up in the house or at the battlefield he was in before, when he was serving overseas. But basically, he stops by this house, rings the doorbell, and like a dude comes up in a robe, and he basically just like immediately points his gun at him and has him bring him to the basement. When he gets to the basement, the dude brings him down there. There's his wife and his daughter and his two sons, and they're basically forcing them to film incest porn against their will. And
I think I remember you telling me about this.
He tells the kids to go upstairs. I don't remember if they even shut the door. He blows the parents' fucking brains out after he shoots them a couple times first. I think he like blows their jaws off and then he kills them. And then the kids are like traumatized as fuck, obviously, because of the past and now present. And he says when the cops are like there that the shitty thing is, statistically, he'll probably have to come back for them in another 5 to 10 years to kill them too. Because once they've kind of
you told me about this.
been into that lifestyle, they might statistically they're gonna go back into it. So now they themselves will become pedophiles, and and I was like, damn, okay, this is like page 8 in this comic issue number 1. Wow, wow, how many more chapters are there? Jesus, man, I'm like, this is, where's the like the Batman punch, kick, darn, I'll get him next time. Let's solve the riddle. Like, where's my shark repellent? I'm like, damn, dude. So that was pretty fucking edgy. And even though he is Marvel, I don't think there's any other Marvel stuff or even DC. Like, Wolverine has hard-hitting stuff, but not like morally and ethically to that fucking degree. Good God. Now we get to the fun one of the other fun ones. The Robin Who Laughs. Let me send you.
I think we talked about this one too.
I probably did, because if it's cool, then I've probably talked about it. So here is. Yes, the obligatory sirens. It's been an hour or two. It's gonna be great for the video. So, Dark Knight's Metal is this dark multiverse. There's a universe, multiverse, and then the flip of the coin, dark multiverse of evil Batmans who basically got Jokerized. Oh, did these not go through?
Not showing up. It's a blank page for me. A blank picture.
Okay, there we go. So, the Batman Who Laughs is like a Jokerized Batman. Instead of having quote-unquote Robins, he has crows that follow him around that are all like demonized and shit. And so, this is where it gets kind of nutty. So, Batman and Superman, as you start at the top, you'll see them talk to him, and they think he like forced them into this. And then he's like, yeah, he changed me. He made me wear the costume. Said I was too innocent for the mission, but he could use me. And then it's like, you can trust us. We're here to take you home, Danny. You don't understand. What don't we understand? Superman's trying to console the boy, have him calm down, and then he says, I'm glad he took me. He freed me. Don't you recognize me? And then that's when Batman and Superman, you can see in the picture, they have this oh shit face. Because they are legitimately in insane danger. Because the darkest night Batman Who Laughs, he has weapons that can easily slice through and kill people and also turn them like insanely evil just by touching them. So anything that works for him is a threat. And that's when they realize who this kid actually is. His name is Billy. Billy Batson. Shazam! And he says Shazam and becomes this now evil warlock enhanced fucking demon Batman Robin motherfucker. And starts beating the shit out of both of them. But I love...
Is it this time where Superman's weak against magic?
No, yeah, Superman's weak against magic. And this dude, he's not pulling punches like Shazam is when they fight. No, he's legitimately trying to kill him and or turn them evil, which he just has to touch them with this like evil boomerang, batarang. But yeah, dude. And he's just got all those knife shark teeth. And you just put in like evil Shazam or some shit. But yeah, I just love just that one little panel. You don't understand. I'm glad he stole me and took me and he freed me. My name is Billy Batson. Shazam! I don't have that picture, but Yeah, things go downhill for them. Bad times. Uh, this is pretty cool. It's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so don't feel like you need to watch it, or even watch it right now, or at all. But Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, has voiced Joker along with many other things. And the DC Kid Justice League show, he's actually voiced several characters to a funny point where, as a gag, in this short skit called Justice League Action Missing the Mark, the Joker has an idea to team up with the Trickster and steal a famous actor for ransom. Someone like Mark Hamill, which then they get stopped and saved. He gets saved by Swamp Thing, and the two villains get taken away by the chief of police. All 5 characters, including Mark Hamill, are voiced by Mark Hamill. So everyone in that 2.5-minute scene that talks is all him voicing everyone. The superheroes, the villains, and people in between.
It's like when you're playing D&D and the DM has to talk to himself because of an NPC, talking to another NPC.
Yeah, so I just thought that's a really cool, funny scene for kids. And so, Missing the Mark, haha. One I did research today, because in preparation to this, almost halfway done, Starfire's random goth fat bitch daughter.
Oh god, it's so bad.
So, Mandy Anders. Mandy Anders, I will argue and stand my ground as a nerd that she is no longer canon. She technically may have been at one point. However, I'm not sure about that. What I am sure about is Nightstar, in a way, was canon, and I will argue was more canon than her, and she served on Batman's team, The Outsiders, which you know from the Young Justice series as well. But that's in an alternate reality thing, but I believe, as far as I know, Mandy Anders is also alternate reality. So, if at any point she claims to have value in any way, I say Nightstar has the same, if not more, because her comic was a financial failure and cringe. The vast majority hated her. And she's also fucking Jesus, because she's just conceptually born. There's no father. It's never been mentioned, ever.
I thought it was. I thought it was Dick Grayson.
No, it's never mentioned who her dad is. Unless I missed it, and so that's what pissed me off. I'm like, shit doesn't even make sense. Alright. Colorful Batman and Hulk. Alright. Here's a funny one. Are you able to open that link? But Batman, last night you wore the green costume, and tonight you're wearing the red-pink costume. Why? I must, Robin. I must wear a different colored Batman costume each night. So, there's Rainbow Batman. Pride Batman. You see him?
Yeah, I see him, sadly.
Okay, so that's not what it's about, but I like to joke it is. So, comics have had their ups and downs financially as a whole in America / Western superhero comics, and so there was times where they weren't doing well, and they transitioned actually, because a lot of them used to be black and white in America. It's not just a manga thing, which I'll get to later. So when they transitioned to having colored graphic novels and comics, they did it as a ploy to, well, make more sales, because they thought it would sell better. And so well, guess what? On this week, it's this. If you want to see the green Batman, this is the issue you need to buy. And so it was a way to sell stuff, and it goes along with Hulk as well. Hulk originally was gray, and because he was one of the earlier comic book characters, and so he was just this gray Hulk. However, they eventually made him fully green. But then people are like, well, so that was just the same Hulk, and for the longest time he was. Until he wasn't. And apparently he's this separate Hulk dude called Joe Fixit, and he's in the mafia as a Hulk. And this is whole split personality existence, not even personality, split existence of Bruce Banner, where he just became multiple Hulks that exist at the same time. Shit's dumb. Anywho, yeah, so
Batman went from being gray to being rainbow to sticking to blue. Hulk went from being gray to being green, but also green, also gray. Um, Other characters, of course, Superman as well used to be gray, and some other characters, but this doesn't really matter for most characters in comics. It just wasn't really a thing. It's just one of the few two instances that come to my mind as particularly funny. As you can just type in Rainbow Batman and you get all these dopey, derpy looking things, and it's like that happened. That was a thing. There literally is a Rainbow Batman, and there was like one other issue where he actually is in a rainbow outfit. But Hulk actually they made it make sense, which is cool. Let's see, the cringe Batman Ninja Robots movie. Did you watch that shit?
No.
It's
Remember, I don't like Batman. I just like its villains.
okay. So, I maintain, along with most of the internet / financial success, that the DC animated is very good. The DC live action, conversely, Marvel animated, meh. Marvel live action, pretty good for the most part. So the DC animated had a Batman / Ninja movie where he goes back in time. However, a bunch of villains went back in time, and now they have giant robot
Wait, no, I've seen that one. I've seen it.
battling castles and shit, and all the supervillains are fighting over territory as well with their different like styled robots. It's really random, and it makes me mad because at one point they're like, "Wow, the sophistication of these craftsmen are even beyond some of our most laser cutting technology." And I'm like, I think it's like Dick Racing saying that. I'm like, or Tim Drake. I'm like, you need to shut the fuck up. Like, you were so stupid sounding. It's like, wow, the way they fucking move wood is just so fucking advanced. A machine that can cut down to a millionth of a percent can't keep up with them. It's like, cringe. Anyway, and like he knows how to do shadow clone jutsu as well. He just straight up does it. I'm not even kidding. He just makes a shadow clone, in the movie. So I fucking hate
Batman.
that. Yeah, I know. The Fantastic Four.
That's what he wants.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four meet God, or Super God. So, in the Marvel Universe and DC, there's one called The Hand, and The Hand, until DC kind of made it weirder, The Hand almost always was, basically, the one above everything, and it was the hand of the artist, of the writer, of the comic maker. And so, that's the one that's always above everyone, because they can just, as like a Looney Tunes thing, just take a pencil and erase you, literally. So, the Fantastic Four in one comic get so displaced from reality that they meet Jack Kirby, one of the most famous people. Jack Kirby is just as famous as Stan Lee, just not as known, but they were equals. And so, the Thing is from the Fantastic Four is just missing his arm. So the dude just grabs a pencil and just draws his arm back into reality. And he like answers a call from corporate and then tells them they need to get on their way, and just sends them back to their own comic. So that was interesting. Jerry the Xenomorph. Do you know about him from the Alien comics?
No, I don't.
Oh, Jerry, dude. If you Google Jerry aliens, you'll pull up an alien smoking a fat cigar, and he's like, "What's up?" So Jerry...
I'm checking right now.
Jerry is a pretty perfect xenomorph cyborg that they use as a dummy to study the xenomorphs. So he'll just hang out in the hive. They give him the right pheromones, and so he'll just hang out with the other aliens, and that's how the scientists can safely do in-hive nest, studying of them in their natural habitat. However, Jerry, it's in this massive facility, not I don't want to say society, facility where they can kind of try to naturally monitor them, and there's another robot there that is like this giant brick stupid looking thing, and he is meant to kill all aliens that ever get out except for Jerry, because Jerry can get out. He's not an alien. So but he's so advanced that he constantly fools the robot, and he has to double check him, and so he has to like start talking because aliens can't talk, and so that's how he like identifies it as, yes, you are a robot like me. But I just love it that this Jerry the xenomorph robot just smokes cigars and talks shit.
I hate it so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
hate it.
Well, we'll move on then.
Xenomorphs.
We'll move on then. Uh,
Poor Xenos.
to something much better, much more America. Have you heard of the All Might Trump manga?
What? No.
Oh, you never heard of My Hero Megadamia? And it's
No.
Wall Might. Oh, dude, there's a whole fucking manga of this. Here's where you can buy one on eBay because they're like so rare now. But I can actually like try to pull some up. I started reading it a while back of the Wall Might series. But yeah, it's literally Hero Academia with like Trump, Hillary, and some other people, Biden and stuff. It's funny as fuck.
Stupid.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing you. I'm just saying personally, I think it's funny too. It's definitely stupid. Manga versus manhwa. They have some big differences in them. We're 2/3 done. Thanks for staying.
Manhwa's actually really good. I've been enjoying a lot of them lately.
I agree from a Western perspective. It takes, in my opinion, and I believe this is factual also to a degree, that manga is the hardest produced, then it's Western comics, and then it's manhwa. Manhwa, even the artists say it's easy to make. But they can...
Well, manhwas, they waste a lot of space in their comics.
That's what I'm going to get into. So, they have two big differences. The amount of people... Well, the first simple one is, what is it? So, manhwas traditionally are more so online comics that are very recent. It's been a recent thing. It hasn't been like Korean. It's from Korea. It's Korean based. And versus manga is not online based primarily, and it's been around for many decades now. And manga is just from Japan. Now, the second one, which is the one that's more so important, I would argue, is partially what you brought up. That it's a lot of wasted space. It's kind of like shock value, and they make big blocks of text so you can read and be enthralled by the story to not notice the reasonably objectively decrease in quality. It's not like you're reading Berserk. You don't have to like Berserk, but the quality is what people mention for Berserk. It's a lot of beautiful use of black and white for the drawing. Now, manga, unlike Western comics and manhwa, Western comics and manhwa, almost both of those, it's a single artist mostly doing most of the work. Manga is about 3 to 5. There is a person that's paid part-time, but basically does it as a full-time gig, professionally, for different mangakas, to basically show up and draw eyes. Just eyes. Nothing else. Most famous mangas, after their initial sketches by the main artist, who can do those things, they don't, even if they're able to, because the quality and time needed, they are rushed to do so many other things that it is more cost effective to get someone just to draw fucking eyes for manga. That's one. Another one is everything else. So all of the background shit, like chairs, the scene, the setting, like there's people that are just for that. It's like, hey, they'll get 1 to 2 people just for that, and then if they need a 5th person, sometimes they'll get someone to just focus on the hands and feet, try to make them look more organic. Because it's a running gag that even in Western comics, that some people struggle with hands and feet because it can be hard to do, to make it look not silly looking. So it's kind of funny that in manhwa, it's usually 1 person. In Western comics, it's 1 to 2 people. Japan, it's 4 to 5. And they're paid like less, which is crazy. Unless you're in the top 5, like One Piece, the dude who made One Piece earns more than the next like 3 to 5 people below him. Below him are Dragon Ball, Bleach. Dragon Ball, Bleach together, they don't make the same amount, as I just said, as the dude who made One Piece.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. So unless you're in the big 5, you need, and even then, they have the money to burn because it's so popular to get other bodies to help as hired on help. But like you need the help. It's crazy for the deadlines. This one's self-explanatory. Batgirl cheats on Nightwing with Batman,
Batman and fucks Batgirl while he knows she's dating Dick Grayson Nightwing, and then while she's fighting crime, she gets punched in the stomach and aborted with the baby. And she doesn't even initially tell Nightwing that she cheated on him. Batman says it. He's like, yeah, I fucked your girl.
So Batman's just a dick. He's a bad person.
In that reality, yeah. I don't remember which one that one was, but I think that was in the Batman Beyond universe. Yeah, that's a fuck thing. Number 22 out of 30. Depends on how far back you want to go. And I understand it's only one episode, but there is an argument that holds water that Sabrina the Teenage Witch is canonically tied to Mortal Kombat universe.
What?
Oh, bro, you don't know about this? So, yeah, this is why I'm doing this. This is fun. So, there is an episode of... It was like a special, but it was part of the Sabrina Teenage Witch official show that, was it Shere Kang or whatever... the main evil guy who, I will take your soul, from Mortal Kombat, he's like getting married into her family. She's related to him.
I remember that actually.
Yeah, and she has to like get souls for him or some shit because for the next tournament because they were trying to promote the Mortal Kombat thing, which whatever. But now I like to joke as a nerd. Guess what? Sabrina the Teenage Witch is in Mortal Kombat. And you could say, oh, well, it's just one episode, blah, 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 it's been so long. But it's like, okay, look, motherfucker. Terminator is in Mortal Kombat. All kinds of shit is in Mortal Kombat that wasn't normally there. You say the Earth realm, but there's other realms. So this could also be a timeline or different Earth realm. So as far as I'm concerned, it kind of still is canon because who fucking cares? Thus, it's still pretty funny. Thanos pussy envy cursing Deadpool. So, Deadpool was nonchalant, wore his emotions on the sleeve, he was his own man, and so he'd get into trouble a lot, and to the point of near death, and that also includes when he was tortured for his muted powers to activate. So he came close, and he actually met death, but because of his attitude and how he lived, and blah blah blah, Lady Death in Marvel, so Mistress Death actually took a liking to him. And the thing is he liked her back. He's like, sup, bone mama. And in the comics, Thanos, for the Infinity War, he does it for pussy. He wipes half the universe to impress Death. Because he wants that bone mama. And she don't care. She likes Deadpool. And so he taunts Thanos when Thanos is beating him to death, saying, what are you going to do, like, pussy? You going to kill me? Because guess what? Then I win. And he's right. So Thanos curses him with immortality. So he can't die. Because then he'll be with Mistress Death. And if anyone's going to be with her, it's Thanos. So he makes him, in a way, invincible. Out of spite. Which is a very funny, weird comic thing to happen. Let's see. I have 5 left. I want to change this one because I want to end on a funny note. Yeah, I'll make that one the last one. So, all right. Lobo, the DC attempted version of Wolverine / Punisher, has pet sadistic space dolphins. So,
I don't remember this. I just don't think it was you that told me.
Here's one where he's pretending to be a pope for fun, and they're like, Your Holiness. And so, yeah, he just has space dolphins that, like, sit on his couch at home, drink beer, and, like, they'll make crank calls on people and shit. And because they're so sadistic and crazy, which they just look like normal dolphins, but they just exist as space creatures, and they're quite rare. That he's cool with them, and he thinks they're pretty awesome, and they think he's awesome. So it's this weird, fucked up bond. But yeah, they'll like trick people into dying and shit. They're mean little bastards. They're bad, but you know they're his pets. So it's like
They're his companions, not his pets.
Oh yeah, his companions are pets. He only cares for like 2 things, I think. His motorbike, and them, and that's it. He doesn't care about anything else. Moving on to number 25, the sheer amount of Japanese smut comics. So, I don't know if you've ever heard of these things, Joe. They're called doujins.
I've never heard of them.
I've never heard of that thing in my life. I've never seen that man before. I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
I'm insane. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I am so innocent right now. So this is just in relation to everywhere else in the fucking world. Take your pick on your kink or whatnot. Adult comics have existed for a very long time. Hell, Playboy outdates Japan easily. However, if you combined everywhere else outside of Japan for their adult comics that basically show nudity, and not just show nudity, where sex is heavily implied, including things that push the boundary of legality, Japan alone, easily on a multiplicative factor, just overwhelms them. It's not like I have critical data to support this. Boy, I mean, I think it doesn't take much research to check that out, and I've kind of checked that out as well. It's just, like, it's insane the amount...
Yeah, you did your research.
Oh, yeah, my own private time, yeah. So, it's just kind of crazy that if, like, you, like, for a laugh or for pleasure, the fact that the quantity is that insane, where we're talking about... I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 100,000 total doujins that have been made overall.
More than that.
And you could argue, oh, well, there's been easily over the world over 100,000 adult comics. Yeah, but most of them are 1 to 2 panels. Most doujins are between 6 pages to 30 pages to several hundred pages as a ongoing series. So they're straight up fucking volumes. They got a goddamn story. Yeah. Another one is, I couldn't find it. It was in this old book when I was taking classes on comics, because I actually did take a comic class at CSUF, that the Japanese micro detail focus on black and white. It's not really done outside of Japan. So specifically mangas, and for some mangas in particular, there is such a beautiful focus. And again, they just use black and white for almost the most part, not including 1 to 2 promotion pages that are in Shonen Jump for shonen or seinen mangas. And even then, usually those pages are just copies of original black and whites. It's just such beautiful detail, and I feel like it's almost a crime that the other countries... Hold on. Western comics aren't trying to compete to that level, or even attempt. I just want an attempt, because I think it's... Some of them are just great. Moving on. Oh, God damn, I'm gonna sneeze again. Excuse me. The concept of One Punch Man as a drawn character. So, this is funny, because going back to what I just said, but the last one and several before then, the beautiful micro detail focus of Japanese manga, and how there's multiple people for manga, unlike manhwa and stuff, doing focusing on elements of the panel, of the imagery. There's a running gag originally that it was a webcomic, and this is not even a gag, this is truth, of One Punch Man. It was a thing a dude did as a kid as he started getting older, and he didn't expect much of it, and then is broken away from the webcomic. So, but the web, you could argue, is the pure story. If you ever look at the, type in One Punch Man web story, webcomic, it's like a fucking 6th grader just scribbled all over the place with a black crayon. It is garbage. It looks like garbage. Boy, it's the original. So it's pretty funny in that regard. And then you could, well, okay, we'll not talk about that. We'll talk about the actual One Punch Man, the anime, what's popular that people know. Okay, motherfucker, look at Guts from Berserk. Look at Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! Look at anything popular or any crazy design character. And then look at this motherfucker, Saitama. It's joked about because, again, there's a whole job industry within the job industry for drawing eyes. This dude's eye is a dot. It's all it is.
And it's beautiful.
And it's beautiful, and the people love it. Don't never change, Saitama. And so, this dude is popularized stealing a job because he just is too lazy to draw a character actually in fine detail. And so, it's funny that in the anime, like, when he goes to the evaluation for becoming a hero, like, whenever he goes to actually compete, he tenses up and goes from his simple drawing to his very detailed, muscular, skeletal, I can't speak, I have a runny nose, of his body. And so it then goes from drawing like a kid on Microsoft Paint to someone who draws well for a living. And so it's kind of funny because it's since popped up and it's been so good that now this dude's sitting and talking to some head honchos in the industry, and his character looked like shit compared to their characters, but making that good money though. It's like saying Garfield is just as beautiful as, I don't know, Superman or some Batman. Like, he's drawn.
And Mona Lisa.
His comic is just as good as his comic, and financially he's doing good. Last three. My hatred for Warhammer Adventures. You know I love Warhammer. Warhammer Adventures is a comic
That's
line.
The kid one?
Yes, it's the kid one. Have you seen
That's
it?
the one I think that's the picture you sent me. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Okay, so someone else has a YouTube video that goes into it more aggressively than I do, but they're pretty woke. Like, they give powers of authority and leadership to people of minorities and or disadvantage, and the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy is a criminal. I'm not saying anything, but, you know. And so there's that. That and two other things. Another one is the DC joke. So here's one. Have you ever heard the DC is too dark compared to Marvel?
No.
So check that link I just sent you, because that's more so the funny joke about it. It's not, they're not talking about the story. DC is too dark.
Oh, you mean like the...
It's literally too dark. So some people actually struggle to see everything in the frame because it's too dark. Warhammer, story-wise, is supposed to be pretty fucking dark. Everyone's evil.
Isn't the category dark fantasy?
Yes, every faction is evil in some way.
I don't think so. The
Or-
Tau are pretty nice people.
You said the Tau?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Communism, where if you disagree with us, we'll kill you. They're just a nicer version of the Imperium, and they possibly use pheromones or mind control.
No, they're fine. They're nice.
They're nice until they're not, yeah. The Imperium's just straight up not nice. The Tau are nice until they're not.
No, they convert you. They're good.
You better convert. Yeah. So every faction can be argued to be bad. You can even argue that the least bad one is Tyranids. They're not bad. They're just hungry.
Well, I mean, it's like saying a xenomorph is bad. They're not.
It's an animal. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a slightly more intelligent than the average animal, but they're still not necessarily capable of higher thinking. They're
That's
raptor.
like saying a lion's evil.
Yeah, and so anyway, the comic is just kind of woke. It's, hey, we're a bunch of kids, but together we have power. All right, Captain Planet, like Planeteers. All right, Power Rangers. Like, it's not realistic at all in regards to the universe that it's set in. And there are rules of that universe and shit for what should make sense, and this doesn't fucking add up. Like, this is the kid who's missing an arm goes Mechanicus route. It's more not even like he worships machines, because Mechanicus, they'll cut off their own arms because it's like, ew, get this fucking thing off me. Flesh is disgusting and weak and garbage. I love machines. Like, I don't have my arms, so I'll have this cool prosthetic. Yay, Mechanicus and Mars. Like, hashtag Mars. Like, no, it's not the same thing. So, I really, and many others dislike that even the font for Warhammer used to be like written in a different font and it was darker. Every edition it gets brighter and lighter, and it's annoying people, even with not just the narrative but literally the font. So it's just not very dark. It's upsetting people, including me. I don't think it needs to be there. Small 6-year-olds should not be your audience. Games Workshop for Warhammer. They can't afford your fucking game. And then the last two. Actually, I'll talk about that one last. The Star Wars Squid Gods. So get rid of this and this. So this would be about, again, don't look at it right now. And you can actually skip most of this video. Some people know about the first, like, 1 or 2 or 3, but near the end, about 14 minutes in or so, or actually 13 minutes, you get the spirits. These are basically gods that only appeared in one comic, but this is now no longer, since the bind of the mouse, no longer continuity, but it was technically until that buyout canon, the just straight up like godly beings that existed in that universe that could just do whatever. They created time itself on a whim. Like, they can just create the universe, destroy the universe, create the multiverse, do whatever. And never talked about again. Only appear in one comic. And so I joke about, like, oh, you think the Force is strong? What about Squiggly Purple Man? Or Green Flame Bitch? Or Pink Triangle Dude? Like, these 4 gods that kind of just exist. And nothing else to say about it. It's a thing. People don't talk about it. And hell, Ubelith is in here. Not Ubelith, but the crazy evil bitch from the Force family. Bendu, the priestesses, all kinds of shit is in here. But, you know, these people exist, and they're just, I don't know. And then, but however, I'm kind of glad they're gone, because they didn't need to be here anyway. They were only in one comic. So it was kind of weird that they were here. I don't like it in DC or Marvel when they do that.
Where they make an entity that's just so powerful they just chill.
Yeah, which, to go on a rant, that's like Protege. Protege is one of the best examples ever. That was a Marvel character. He's from a alternate reality dark version of Adam Warlock, who then has weird shit happen to him. So they make a backup, and the backup calls itself Protege, and proceeds to just gain like Rogue / Amazo, Rogue from X-Men or Amazo from DC, like any power he sees. However, similar to the Wish spell in D&D, he can alter it to any amount. So imagine like he sees Rogue use her power, but it has to be more of an active power. Rogue's hard because it's like a passive, so that he struggles with. But imagine Rogue could emit like a little force field around her, and she just drains anyone within 1 foot of her, right? Well, he could do that same thing and be like, well, I'm going to make it 20 miles instead. And I'm going to just make it happen all the time. And I'm going to not make it tire me out at all. And I can also turn it off or on whenever I want. He could just modify his own abilities like that. So, very quickly, this dude basically becomes God. He even encounters the Living Tribunal, who in a list I made, I may have made a video on this, but it would have been years ago now. Living Tribunal in Marvel Comics is probably like number 5 in strongest being, definitely in the top 10. Could be lower than 5, but you know, it's up there. His boss is basically the Hand, so his boss is the one above all, but he's lost to 1 to 2 other people, debatably. So not even debatably, he lost to the Beyonders. So, he got every single power of him copied by by Protege. He is near omnipresent, near omniconscious, and near omnipotent. The Judeo-Christian God is said to be those 3 things, but not near. He just is, or it is, everywhere at all times and all powerful. So, and knows everything. So this Living Tribunal is basically 99% infinity. And this dude just like looks at him and copies that. And at this point it's like, well, fuck. And so they just introduce a character called
the Scathen or Scather of the Celestials, and he's like, I disapprove of your existing. No, and he just like gets trapped in a fucking hourglass and disappears, and that's the end of Protege. Like he literally just introduced a character, used some random ability, doesn't make sense, and then they just call it a done deal and move on. So they just wrote themselves into a corner, and they didn't have a way to get out of it. And so the Godlike Beings, going back to what I was talking about for Star Wars, to stay on subject, yeah, randomly introduced characters, vastly overpowered, unnecessary for the universe and the main story, and so I have no problem with them being gone via the purchase of Disney. They shouldn't have been in the first place. It was really random, but until the Disney purchase, they were technically canon, which is pretty funny. And then the last thing on this list is the defeat of Clyde Wincham. The defeat of the evil god Clyde Wincham using retarded Clyde Wincham Down syndrome mode. So, this is worded a little mean by me. Anyone on the internet can be mad. However, this is... Let me pull up. The last link I'll send. So, you'll see some like fat dude in a brown shirt with that one. If you click on the picture next to it, that's the Marquis of Death. The Marquis of Death is insane. This is just a dude, and his story made more sense, I'd argue, possibly, than Protege. At the very least, much better written. I think Protege's kind of makes sense. It was just written like shit. Marquis of Death, Clyde Wincham story, written very well. This dude becomes insanely strong. Easily top 10. Probably right below Protege. This dude's insane. Or, I guess, 2 spots below Protege. So, similar... He's like the Marvel version-ish. Or, actually, no. Cringe. Okay. Because, oh god, I forgot about this. So, Gwenpool is supposed to be, like, from our real Earth. But she's more like from a version of our real Earth. That's what Clyde Wincham is supposed to be as well. He's from an Earth that is, like, right now, present day, 2023, and we have DC and Marvel Comics. But what if, and this is similar to D&D. In D&D, we know about the world of D&D because we have people from that world visit us and tell us about it in the actual D&D lore, and that's how we know things. It is another alternate reality. We ourselves are Crystal Sphere in D&D, this Earth. So, Clyde Wincham is just from a regular Earth. No superpowers. Batman, he exists as a comic book character. All of that shit, all exists as comic book characters. Including all the other comic storylines. This dude, his dad goes a little cuckoo, has a fight with his mom, knocks his head, if I'm remembering correctly, against the table, I think by accident. And he has like a brain aneurysm or a severe concussion to the point where he's basically almost a vegetable, aka he's just really fucked in the head. Of course not by choice, it's a tragedy. So that's why I said it's rude that I say Down syndrome, but he's kind of like, he's just like a 5-year-old now. However, he had comic books. When, and this is where it's going to get a little convoluted, so bear with me. At one point, some kids, he leaves, gets better, and comes back eventually and just lives by himself. Some kids are walking down the street at and they see the old Wincham house, which it's like, oh, don't go by the old Wincham house, it's not safe over there. And some kid is just looking up at the window. He sees the Red Skull from Captain America just in the fucking window having a conversation with someone. He's like, the fuck? And then actual characters and events start happening in the world. Like Iron Man starts, like, he randomly fights somebody, like, and then they disappear. And like people are like, that was weird. Like, they're not supposed to be real. The fuck? Clyde Wincham, he's actually an Omega level mutant. Or actually, beyond Omega level, well beyond, and he's the only one on the Earth with superpowers of any kind. including advanced intelligence or anything. He is a reality warper. Sorry, not a reality warper. He is. Oh wait, matter creator. I forget the two. Fuck. Reality warper. Matter. Well, there's two different ones. I think matter displacement and reality warper. So he can basically make and do whatever. He proceeds to just explore the universe, become immortal and invincible, and live for 3 billion years, including visiting almost the entire multiverse. Which then you can click on the comic, the picture on the right, which is the Marquis of Death. He becomes this like husk zombie man, and he basically is all powerful. He teaches Doctor Doom magic. This dude basically just knows everything. So Doctor Doom, because they don't show it almost ever. Doctor Doom's a magician. He's a warlock. He knows magic. His mom was a gypsy and knew magic. His teacher, though, it never said who he was. His teacher is the Marquis of Death. Now, the Marquis of Death just shows up to a reality. Just shows up to a universe, snaps his fingers, or doesn't even snap his fingers. He just blinks. He can fart. He can just say meh. Do nothing. Less than a second later, the universe is deleted. So he can just hop and skip around, and he doesn't need Infinity Stones or anything. He can just do it on a whim. He's an Infinity Gauntlet with no limitations, on crack, all times, all the time. So it's just, he's insane. And so, he ends up being a fucking menace, because he starts messing with people, including Doctor Doom, treating him like trash. Like, he's like, "Are you proud of me, Master?" He's like, "Am I proud of you? Bro, every time you fought the Fantastic Four, they, like, squish you into the dirt. You're a loser. You disgust me. You're garbage. You fucking noob." Dismembers him, fucks him up, and then throws him 3 trillion years in the past or some shit. Not 3 trillion years, but 3 million years in the past to get eaten by a megalodon. Doctor Doom, spoiler, comes back to fight this dude the old-fashioned way. Doctor Doom just lives through 3 million extra years just to surprise this dude, becoming his Darth Maul apprentice. Be like, "It was me all along, Dio!" Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Because he has this new mask on, and he never reveals his name. So he just thought it's like some dude is good with magic. He was Doctor Doom the entire time. He just practiced what this dude taught him before he betrayed him. And so, Doctor Doom's plan is to then recruit another Clyde Wincham before he got evil to use his all-powerful powers to fight Clyde Wincham, Marquis of Death. So they use a vegetable, fucked up Down syndrome version of him to fight the evil godlike version of him. And that's basically like infinity minus infinity plus 1. So Marquis of Death wins that fight against his past self, but he's severely weakened. He's like drained of most of his divine, like, all-powerfulness, comic plot hole. And at that point, that's when Doctor Doom "It was me, Dio, da-da-da-da," and reveals himself and basically ends him. But the dude, to prove a point, like how Doctor Doom is like so stupid, he let Doctor Doom at one point think he beat him, and proceeded to simulate like 16 years of reality or 26 years of reality or some shit around Doctor Doom. And like Doctor Doom like slept with the Invisible Lady of the Fantastic Four. They were gonna have a kid. He cured cancer. All this crazy stuff happened. And then his wife, Invisible Lady, asked him like, "Are you happy?" He's like, "You know what? I think I am. I think I'm finally happy." And then the Marquis of Death is like, "Ha! You fool! It was me!" And just rips off her face, which reveals to be him. And he's like, "This like the last 16 years you just experienced were 4 seconds that I simulated as false reality."
So did he have sex with him?
So no, well maybe, I don't know, but he basically pulled a Itachi. Like he just tortured the shit out of him, and then Kakashi thought, oh well that was pretty bad, but it was only a couple minutes. It's like, oh, it's actually been 1 second. And so, he simulates 16 years, and it's only like been 4 or 5 seconds. And snap back to reality. Arms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti. And so this dude is just a fucking menace because it takes Thanos or any other villain a major power up to just get to this dude's natural level. And I think the thing why me and some other people like it is because he was actually written well, so it didn't feel like a isekai protagonist who just jumps in somewhere and is overpowered. Like, he level grinded for 3 billion years. And then to even attempt to defeat him, you need someone also OP on his level. Who's on his level? Nobody but him. So they get another him to beat him because they don't have any other plan. With that said, thanks for sticking around, dude. I was probably just gonna be me by myself, pretty boring. I expected it to be about an hour and a half. It was about an hour and 25 minutes. Is there anything else you as a guest, Joe, want to say about comics, or you'd want me to say, or anything?
Nothing on the top of my head right now.
Do you have a favorite book, comic book event, and then do you have a favorite comic book character? So event or story, and then character. They don't have to be
My
related.
favorite comic character will always be Raven and Beast Boy. When they
As
get together.
them as a couple as a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it makes the most sense to me compared to like seeing Raven with fucking
Anybody else? Hell, Robin.
No.
Raven with Robin.
I think that's so disgusting, but you know, people like it.
I like her and Damien. I don't like, but like they've
Not
just.
even Damien, no, because I feel like Damien's way too young for.
It depends on when they fucking do it, because sometimes Starfire is like a young
Yeah.
adult, a teen, a straight up adult. Like, who fucking knows? Teen Cyborg is a teenager, or he's like in his 30s.
You should say early 20s. He's only a few years younger than him, older than him.
But in like some of the Teen Titans, like Damien's like fucking 12. Other ones, he's like 16. So.
I've always seen him like 12 and younger. I've never seen him like older. It seems like.
So yeah, and then do you have a favorite comic book character?
Raven Beast Boy.
Oh, like you just like them both as characters?
Yeah, like for Marvel and DC, my favorite heroes from Marvel is usually like Iron Man, like pretty typical ones.
Here's one last thing I'll mention as a bonus thing. Fun fact, I love the old Joker origin, which I won't go into now. If people want it, I'll bring it up. But it's a very old comic origin. To the point where I'm not even sure if it actually happened, because I think I had it as hearsay. But in the 3 Jokers comic line, where Batman sat on the chair of Metron and found out that there's actually like 3 or 4 different Jokers, he eventually, at the end of the comic, there's only one Joker left, and it should be the original Joker. And then he reveals to Alfred, he's like, oh, well, we'll never know what his name is. And he's like, Alfred, who do you think I am? He's like, I know I try to be modest, but Alfred, I'm Batman. I'm the world's greatest detective. After just like 2 weeks, I knew the Joker's entire identity. He just never talks about it, but in the old comics, Jack Napier is the Joker's name, and at the end of the 3 Joker's thing, he reveals that the Joker's wife, who originally believed was dead, and thus helped spun the madness for the Joker, didn't die. She ran away because she didn't like him, was scared of him, and she was pregnant with his kid. His kid lived, so the Joker's wife and kid is out there, and they've just been monitored by Batman throughout the years.
Like, I can see that. He becomes a fucking psycho.
No, yeah, for sure. Which I hate the Harley Quinn replacement. She's like, my name is Punchline, and she's like this fucking tie-dye haired chick who's like woke cringe. Like Joker's just like in her closet at her dorm room in college. He's like, what's going on, sweet cheeks? Like, none of it makes sense, and it's all bad. Not a replacement for Harley at all. Classic Harley Joker, great, but yeah, he was loco, and she's pretty hot, sexy with Poison Ivy. But I will call it here. If anybody likes this content, like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below if you disagree, agree, you want me to talk about anything else. If you want to jump in a podcast, I'm down to talk about comics, anime, D&D, video games, etc. Hope everyone has a fantastic day.
Take care and game on, gamers. Bye.